welcome to BSR TV and the iRacing Skip Barber series from Oulton Park this evening. With me, Chris Cohen, joined in the commentary box by Matt Dalton. Evening, Matt.
Evening, Chris. Evening, everybody.
And we're back again for what is an interesting session already. So we've got a 20-minute qualifying session just coming up, followed by a roughly 30-minute race. But the pit size at Oulton Park is already proving to be an issue, Matt.
It is indeed. We've got some early fallers, I think, is the jockeying term.
Well, yeah, neither member of the SS racing team has been able to get in the session because the 27 pit limit means that it's full. Legitimately full. Everybody in the league has already joined, and that means that Simon Hulbert and Simon Povey have been left out of this session, surprisingly. Hulbert, after failing to finish last time out with a blown engine, surprisingly again, he was unable to get in the session, just a little bit too late on the button, I suppose. It was first come, first serve, and there's not a lot that can be done about it now. And also, the chicanes have been left out of Oulton Park. That's worth noting.
Yeah, I actually prefer this layout myself, but it's, I suppose, controversial with some. I know a lot of the guys have been doing some practice in the official series in iRacing this week, and they've all been running the chicanes, so it's thrown some people with setups and things.
Well, of course, it does make closer racing, because the fewer turns you've got, the fewer opportunities you've got to kind of slow down by getting braking points wrong and things like that, and the more straights there are, the more the draft comes into effect. So it does mean that hopefully the qualifying times will be quicker, and we might even see some team drafting during the qualifying, do you think?
It's possible, yeah. The back straight is now a significant drafting zone, so we could definitely see some games being played.
We'll have to see what happens in the qualifying session. Just before we go over to the track to have a look at how the drivers are doing, let's have a quick look at the standings. So, top of the table, even though he had a disastrous blown engine at Okayama, is Wojtek Swirydowicz on 91 points. Second place, just behind him, only 5 points adrift now, is Simon Hulbert, but again, Hulbert blew an engine as well, so he has been caught up significantly by third place man Mark Mercer and fourth place man Martin Peck. And fifth goes to Rob Green, sixth to Blake Townend, seventh to Simon Povey. Those guys are all pretty close together. Then there's a little bit of a gap for Paul Grillo, Patterson and then Everest, who rounds out the top 10. But really, Matt, any of those top four are in with a shout, aren't they? Peck 76 compared to Swirydowicz 91. There's not a lot of difference there.
No, it's tight at the top, and as we've seen in the previous races, these guys are very, very close on pace.
And then coming down to page 2 of the standings, Bramley and Kirchtort share 11th place. It sounds like a nice pie that you can make there. Kirchtort with Bramley. How does that sound?
Smashing.
Sounds quite tasty.
Chuck a bit of cream in there and I think we're all happy.
Yeah, well, anyone with a surname relating to cream, do feel free to join the league. Lambert takes 13th place for GR Racing. Jocelyn, Adcock and Grunhill, just showing how close it is here, share 14th, Ridgway 15th, Richardson 16th, Ridgway 17th effectively because of the shared places, and then Richardson 18th, Cowan 19th, Adcock 20th, but there's only 7 points between all of the drivers on that page, so with a shake-up at Oulton Park, some drivers very quick here that wouldn't necessarily be quick in other places, and some drivers not so quick here. We could be seeing a big change of position here, and we're about 5 minutes in the qualifying session, so it's time to head over to the track and let's have a quick look to see what all of these drivers are doing at the moment. See if we can find Swirydowicz first of all, because he is our championship leader.
He's on the back straight at the moment. I know this because I'm sat following him. Or trying to. He's actually destroying me, making me feel very amateur.
Well, he's the top guy should be able to set a 1:42 around Oulton Park without the chicanes, but we have seen in the practice session Mark Mercer actually managed to break into the 1:41s to effectively set the quickest time in practice. Of course, it won't count for anything because it's only the qualifying session that counts, but it'll be interesting to see if anyone can top that. I mean, 1:41, how are your times, Matt?
44s, so yeah, that's a staggeringly quick time.
And it's worth mentioning as well that these cars are not very well suited to the bumpy surface at Oulton Park, and we see a lot of touring car racing at Oulton Park in real life, and those cars are kitted out to suck up the bumps and just bounce over them, but you really feel it in the skips.
Yeah, absolutely. This car bounces around quite a lot on these bumps, and it makes the corner entries a particular challenge. The car wriggles around a lot more than some other places, but I think that actually makes it more fun to drive. This is one of my personal favourite tracks in this car, I've got to be honest.
Martin Peck is the current pole position man. That could all change, but a 142.8. So 0.8 of a second to make up if anyone wants to get into the 141s. And I'm sure these drivers are just starting out a little bit cautious, because we're bound to see faster times than that. But the GR Racing team leads the board at the moment and takes fourth place with Rob Green. Town ends in third. Swirydowicz has taken second. No sign of Mercy yet. I don't think he's set a qualifying time, has he?
Not that I can see as yet. He is out on track though.
So we're expecting Mark Mercer to come with a good time at some stage during the session, but he hasn't done it just yet. Now, this man's someone we're not used to seeing in the top 10, isn't it? Mr. Keith Sharp, who is currently in 9th. He's got
Keith's a new one to the series, I think. Oh no, he has raced before, hasn't he? He was at Montreal. I think he might have missed the last round.
Yes, and he's got the rather nice shark skin grey car with a sort of pale blue. Is it a baby blue helmet? Looks like that from here. The number 32 car.
Yeah, I would say baby blue.
144.1, and I've got a feeling that those times are going to come down quite dramatically. And like we were saying, the drafting should be coming into effect. Luke Ridgway is back in action this week. Don't believe he was in last week's race at all. He's driving the pitlanes.com car, 144.1, and he goes very wide. Keeps it under control with a big wiggle there, and we could be seeing some of that down the start. I mean, it's not one of those tracks, Matt, is it, where you kind of speed off the line into a tight hairpin or a tight chicane. You've got two fairly gentle corners to get going.
That's correct, and this is one of those tracks where really it is quite a fast track. Actually, you only really use second gear in this configuration at the old hairpin. So apart from that, it's third, fourth gear pretty much the whole way. It's quite a high-speed track, which means that keeping the momentum is very important. And I can say from the little bit of practice I was doing just there, the draft, if you can get out of the old hairpin behind somebody, it actually tows you all the way up to the final corner. It really has a massive effect.
And we're on board now with the Team Castrol driver of Dan Hunt, who is just coming around the hairpin now. You can see the quite sharp banking on the hairpin helps the drivers get round, but kind of unexpectedly throws the cars towards the inside, and he's chasing down Dave Grunhill just ahead of him. And that on the left is where the chicane would have been if there was a chicane, but just power straight through there, down this huge straight. Dan's a little bit too far back to get in the draft, and on the right is where the other chicane would be, and there's no chicane there. Hard on the brakes now into this medium right-hander. Keeps it nice and clean through there and onto the curbs on the way out, and then up the hill to the blind entry left-hander, and not a very sharp corner. Nothing too much to worry about there, and you can just see how quick this circuit is without chicanes as he's into the double apex right-hander here, and he does take as much curb as possible on the inside. Under the Carloon Bridge, just one more corner to go. One of the trickiest corners on the track, though. Late on the brakes as possible and turn in as late as possible. But
it's a real challenge, that corner, because when you turn in, because it's slightly off camber and actually downhill, it unsettles the car on entry. So the quickest way to go through there is actually to have the car near enough sliding from entry all the way through till you put your foot down on the exit. It's a very tricky corner and very easy to get it wrong.
And we've just seen Dan go over the line there and not set a time, and that is because his lap will have been invalidated by going off the track, so he's not able to set a time this time. 19th place at the moment is with Steve Richardson at 145.6, but there's a faster time to be gained there, I'm sure. And sure enough, Mark Mercer is currently on pole position in a 142.1, so we didn't see very fast times for most of the practice session, but he suddenly found his form in the practice session, and that plain blue car that he drives there is looking like it might be on pole position with half of the qualifying gone.
Yeah, I don't think we're yet to see the best of Wojciech either. He ran a 141.7 in practice, so he's going to be in there as well. But Mark has shown some real pace again this weekend. He's shown a steady improvement the whole way through the series, actually, so far, hasn't he?
He has, yes, and he can race just as well as the top guys can. He's been very impressive to watch. Circumstances haven't always been favourable to him, but he was one of the few guys not to blow an engine at the top of the order last week, so he benefited from that massively, and now he's right up there in the championship race. He's in with a chance. Swirydowicz has had a solid lead the whole way through the championship, and it has been slowly eroded, culminating in the awful circumstances last week where right near the end of the race his engine gave up on him. He would have been writing angry letters to Mazda all weekend, I'm sure, after that, all week. And
Yep.
He's got a new engine for the race, but we'll have to see how it goes, because apparently the heat in Okayama was too much for those vehicles, and they just gave up in the end, especially when they're being driven extremely hard.
Yeah, there have been lots of rumours of Mazda employees having to commit ritual suicide over the last week or so. I think probably quite a few of them expected to fall on their sword following the number of engine explosions we had there.
Fall on their piston rings. Yeah, so
Indeed.
Mark O'Connell is currently in 13th place. He's at 144.1. Just goes to show those times are getting quicker and quicker. Swirydowicz, meanwhile, has just taken second place from Blake Townend. And Townend was impressive last week, wasn't he?
Yeah, Blake. Well, I mean, Blake is, he's a guy who's raced in the professional series on iRacing. I mean, I think his talent is well known and his ability is well known. So it's when he's not at the front we're probably more surprised than we were. He does have a very unique driving style with these things, though. He lets the thing slide and slip around a lot more than some of the other guys around him.
And perhaps we can pick it up with Blake in a moment and have a look at that driving style that you're talking about there. But his teammate, Andy Kirchtort, he's just been bumped down to 8th. I was about to say he was in 7th, but he's lost out a little bit now. He's down to 8th, but still top 10 for Kirchtort, a good starting position for him. And
Yep.
Paul Grillo enters the fray in 6th place, pushes Rob Green down to 7th, so Rob Green with some work to do there.
Yeah, Paul was, another one of the guys who was very, very quick last week, and some, a bit of controversy afterwards. There's a few of the guys getting a little bit tasty in the discussions afterwards, but as we said at the time, a little bit of niggle does no harm whatsoever. We like a bit of that in the series. Disappointed to hear they kissed and made up. It was just never an excuse for that, frankly. That kind of thing should be kept strictly out of men's activities, but there we go.
Well, O'Connell over the line then, and it's not a lap beating time. He's off the track as well there, so that this current lap probably won't count either. But let's join up with Blake Townend and just get a feel for that rather loose driving style. And it's often the way with the quicker drivers, isn't it, that they use the looser style. They're not too worried about it sliding because they've got the talent to keep it under control.
Yeah, I seem to remember Nicky Lauda saying, actually, didn't he? He said, I wasn't gifted with a great ability to make things or a great ability to manufacture, but what I was given was a nice brain and a perfectly well-feeling backside.
That's the all-important thing. But in sim racing, unless you have quite an expensive setup, you won't have the benefit of the backside sensors, shall we say.
Well, a number of these guys run SimVibe setups and similar, so they will have bass shakers and some little subwoofer packs and things like that running around them that help but give them a feeling for what's going on with the road.
Into second place, Blake Townend, 142.2. So how much of a difference do you think it makes if you spend, thousands of pounds on your sim racing setup compared to the guys that spend a couple of £100?
Well, obviously I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. You're talking about chasing an extra tenth to an extra tenth and a half, but when you get to the level some of these guys are, Blake perhaps and some of the other guys around him, that tenth and a half is all important. So I think in some circumstances it can make a big difference, but it's all about feel, and it's all about what each driver wants and what each driver expects from their own personal setups, really.
Another man who has been quick in the practice but failed to live up to that standard in the qualifying so far is Marcus Maris. Is currently in 18th place. The front of his car there, the big mouth on there, looks like he's about to gobble up the car in front of him, but he's not going to be able to do it unless he sets a faster time. The top 10 has changed quite a bit. Patterson and Cowan have now entered the top 10, although there's a second and a half between first and 10th, so expect that to tighten up as the drivers are nearing the end of the qualifying session. Can anyone beat Mercer to get on pole, Matt?
Yeah, as we said, Wodge was actually faster in practice, so that's definitely a possibility.
And how about Townend? He hasn't started from pole, to my knowledge, at the moment, has he? So it'd be a different start for him, but he certainly wouldn't turn it down.
No, I mean, you'd never turn down a pole position, would you? Just watching him through turn 1 there, and that's just... I wish I could do that. He's never going to want to turn down a pole position, but you're right, he hasn't done that. I think maybe he's had a little while out of iRacing, minus perhaps he's come back with a little bit of ring rust that he's still looking to shake off. But all of these guys are, in terms of iRatings, are miles and miles above the average person on here. I mean, these guys are the top of the British club, really.
The faster guys are, certainly, but the series is open to people of all abilities, and speaking of which, Rob Burton is out there on track in 26 at the moment, yet to set a qualifying time. He's our very own BSR TV driver this evening, so driving in the loosest sense.
Yeah, Rob's giving it Rob giving it everything and more, going around the place as usual. You're never going to expect anything other than flying wheels, flying cars, and usually a few corpses in his wake, so...
He's one to watch because he likes the quick, hard, fast starts off the line. There's no such thing as caution. It's been thrown completely to the wind in the past, so we'll see what Rob can do off the start-finish straight in about 5 minutes' time.
I think he's a little bit like trying to explain to the Stig how a train works, isn't he?
Yes, exactly.
Gives you a rather dumbfounded look and
sideways and off the track. And a 141.8 from Paul Grillo. That is absolutely unexpected, but delighted for Paul to be able to get on the pole position.
I mean, his time in practice was a 43.2, so you've got to wonder if he was sandbagging or if he's picked up the mother of all toes up the back.
Could well have come into it, we didn't see it, but Mercer will not be happy to be down to second place, having set a 141 as well, so Mercer is just 14,000th off the pole position time, and with time running out, Grillo is looking to be
I tell you,
in a good position.
Yep, what Paul has done is the old Hector Barber trick, isn't it? As we were saying last week, the guy who's known in MotoGP. What he's done is latched onto the back of the Team Green guys and Mark Mercer in front of him, and they have dragged him the whole way round the track, and that's got to be worth, half a second over a lap at least. That's still a blinding time, but...
Well, certainly the quickest time we've seen this evening.
Yep.
And if it stays this way, it'll be Grillo from Mercer, from Townend, from Swirydowicz starting this race. Don't forget about Martin Peck, who's in 5th place, and terrific performance from Tim Adcock in 6th place on the grid at the moment.
As I said, I mean, the draft here, the way it works without the chicanes is massive, and, Paul has really timed that lap absolutely perfectly.
Dave Granell, just watching him go around, and we gave him the commentator's curse last week, didn't we? We managed to spin him off by talking about him too much, unfortunately, at Okayama, and he's come back. Even though we've been terribly rude about the colour of his car, he hasn't changed it. It's still snot green, and he's currently running in 11th, just setting a 143.7 there.
Yeah, he loves the colour. He's going to have none of even contemplating changing it. We've got to be careful how we talk about him this week, though. I don't think you're on his Christmas card list at the moment. You've cursed him and commentary molested him every single week so far.
Well,
I think, in fact, you've done it again because he's spun off again.
Brilliant.
I think we'll promise not to mention him during the race. I know there were some of the guys lower down who were feeling a bit left out last week. Perhaps we should discuss them a little bit.
Well, let's cut to another one of the regulars in this series. Ellis Stevens, 18th rather. At the moment with a 144.3. He'll be slightly disappointed with that, you feel?
I think, Ellis can run a 43 dead, he has done in practice, so he's clearly got some more space than that. I think he perhaps just struggling to get a clean lap in so far.
Alan Patterson, meanwhile, Team No Grip, is in 9th position with a 43.4, effectively. Just going over the line now, as the qualifying session officially comes to an end, he will get one more lap in. if he chooses
Yeah,
to
Alan,
take
who
it.
Alan, who we should mention, organises and runs the series, and puts in a lot of the effort to run in this. So thanks to him for that.
Absolutely, and it does take a lot
Patriotic
of effort
Scottish
to come
paint
back
job.
every single week and do this kind of thing.
Yep.
Worth mentioning at this point then, just as we round out the qualifying session, that like we say, the season is open to anybody. There are some big grids, entertaining, very close racing, very good spirits as well from everybody involved, good teamwork from the teams that do enter, and like we were saying before, not to your liking, Matt, you like a big bust up, but when the drivers do disagree, they tend to settle it fairly quickly. So there's always that UK and I Skip Barber series, so if you're in the UK or Ireland and you fancy a bit of Skip Barber racing on a Monday evening, fancy being live on BSR TV with us guys, then do seek it out and do put in an application to join the league.
And do it quickly and get signed in quickly, otherwise you'll find it missing. I will say one thing as well. There's a couple of guys who registered for this session who perhaps have decided not to run in it and have left. They have actually taken places that some of the more regular guys will have wanted. So if you have done that, consider yourself having the moral slap on the wrist, because it's rude, frankly.
It is unfair, I think. You never know, they might have a very good reason, but it's only fair to join and then set a time, because if you don't, there's no way to, in iRacing, there's no way to remove someone who's joined a session. Once you're in, that's it. So the only way would to be able to recreate the session from scratch, which is clearly not going to happen.
No, and I think what we should do is we should say that if you don't do it, we'll make Rob Burton come and race with you in every single race for the next 6 weeks.
You definitely don't want that at all. So, the pole position has gone to Paul Grillo, with Mark Mercer taking second place in fantastic style for Paul Grillo. We were rude to him for a number of races, as we normally are with various drivers, but he's done an exceptional job to get in the 141s and done a 141.805, so he's beaten even Mark Mercer. Swirydowicz only managing 4th position, so he's got a lot of work to do, hasn't he?
Yeah, Wodge will have a little bit to do, but again, I mean, the lap times there are so close that Paul timed that lap absolutely to perfection, picked up a 5-car draft, and that's probably the difference. Be interesting to see now what happens in the race. It's going to be very difficult for any of these guys to break away, because, as we said, with this track the way it is, the draft effect is enormous.
And Peck, don't forget about Peck, who'll be starting from the 3rd row of the grid. He's going to be in 5th position on the grid for GR Racing, and he is currently 3rd in the championship.
And he's been the arch predator of the last few weeks, hasn't he?
He has. He's the man to watch out for. He can really perform with the top guys. So we've got Mercer, Swirydowicz, Townend and Peck. And Grillo he's not been in our top reckoning, really, has he? But this might change today. Still not made it to the grid, Grillo, so he's going to have to hurry up if he wants to get in this. Wouldn't that be a shame if he didn't actually start the race?
No.
As he just appears on the front of the grid now. So 20... I make it 23 cars to start this race.
Yep.
Perhaps 24.
Anybody sat on the start line, it'd be interesting to see what happens here as well. It's a very tricky start with it being uphill. If you put your foot on the clutch and put it in gear, you will roll backwards.
But they're off now, so Grillo leads the field away. Mercer in 2nd, and that's Townend 3rd, Swirydowicz 4th as they head down to turn 1. As we see this nice, easy right-hander to lead them away. Grillo's got it from Mercer, and the field are filing through now. Everybody's keeping it under control, which is always good to see. Down to turn 2, which is a downhill. Got to be careful on the brakes, especially with these cold tyres. And already Grillo's starting to pull out a bit of a lead from Mercer, Townend, Swirydowicz, and everybody else seems to be through okay. No collisions at all.
So far, no, all good so far. I think it'll be see what happens in the old hairpin here now.
Down to the hairpin for the first time. This difficult, fast left-hander is very hard to keep the car under control, but everyone's doing a stellar job at the moment, and we say there's all skill levels in
the outside of Mark Mercer there.
And Mercer's going for a defensive line because he's got Townend to think about on his left-hand side rather. It's a big, long straight, and Townend's made his move a little bit early, you feel, because he's got no draft, and that's Swirydowicz behind him who'll get the draft. Peck in 5th place
still
then.
better of it.
Peck's a definite threat in 5th place with the green and white GR Racing livery there. We'll just join up with him now because he'll want to move up from 5th place as fast as he can, but he's got 4 top drivers ahead of him, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. These top guys are over each other. There's one of the Radicals guys is out there. I think, is that 43? That's
Kirchtorp, who is off the track, unfortunately, so we'll try and find out what happened to Andy Kirchtorp as he brings it back on, but he's got some severe damage to the front of that car, so let's go back and find out what might happened.
He's clashed with Tim Adcock, I think.
So there's 2 wide, but they're right in front of that GR car, and they just didn't leave enough room, did they? Oh, and he's over the top of Adcock, taking the front of Adcock's car, possibly...
So pretty similar to that in the British Superbikes last year. Possibly
a racing incident. I'm very surprised to see Kirchtorp manage to get the car going after that, but they're not too far away from the pit lane, so at least there's that. A little more...
Wasn't too jammy there, was he?
No, he wasn't, and Bramley will be pleased to be the leading pie ingredient in this race at the moment. Although, where is Bramley? Is he on the track?
I don't think he even started, to be honest.
He's not in it, is he? So Kirchtorp, by virtue of being on the track still, is the leading pie ingredient. As the 2 Castrol's there going side by side, that's Hunt. No, it's not, is it? It's Hefford. So I beg your pardon. It's Hefford and Stevens side by side there. Stevens is on the outside there and goes for the cutback now, but that makes him on the outside for the next corner. He'll be taking it a bit cautious down in 21st place. Hefford's got the inside line and he's going to take it down this straight, and I doubt Stevens is going to go in that sharp left-hander. You don't really want to be making any the very fast left-hander. You don't want to be making any sudden moves, do you?
No. There's Ellis and Steve actually collected each other.
Oh, and Hefford sideways. Ellis is gonna... Oh, Stevens has managed to... Wow. Teflon Stevens has... Oh, and he's collided with him after all that. Hefford, with the longest slide in history, I think, has got it back on the track. But he... You're
a little bit behind there. That was a while ago.
a little bit behind with the footage, aren't we? Yeah, so apologies for that.
Hefford's had another incident as well. He's lost his entire front end at the moment.
Let's go back to that one as well. Hefford with some heavy damage there after that collision with Stevens, which is rather unfortunate, I feel, because the 2 looked like they were going to avoid each other, and then, yeah, Hefford just gets sideways, big nasty spin into the wall, and that's, who's that just behind him that's had to take evasive action into the wall as well?
I'm not sure.
So not Stephen Hefford's day, not Ellis Stevens' day either, because it looks like he might well be in the pits. Grillo still leads the race. Mercer is in 2nd, and we've got Townend, Swirydowicz, Peck, so unchanged at the moment, which is surprising, really. Maybe all these guys are just kind of just staying in the draft.
Yeah, it's early on. I mean, they're probably playing a little bit of games and playing some mind games with each other, just sitting in the draft, and quite happy to run in line for now.
Just down the road there, Rob Green is in 6th place. He's the 2nd GR Racing machine. Peter Cowan is just behind him, and Alan Patterson, very impressive at the moment. Team No Grip have an 8th place with Dave Grunhill a little bit behind that, and the field's starting to spread out, but the top 5, there's very little to choose between them, is there?
No, nothing at all. I mean, these guys, we've seen them every week all over the place with each other, so I don't think it's too much of a surprise. Marcus Narris not looking very happy at the back. He's with the reasonably nice paint job, the RAF Spitfire paint job on the car, but he's doing his usual and giving everybody some abuse, following Ellis Stevens out of the pit lane.
So Stevens is back out on track, Narris is back out on track there. They're a long way down now, unfortunately. Adcock is yet to come back out. Hefford's back out on the track as well. They get one quick repair, so they get a new car.
Andy Kirchtorp's back out as well.
Kirchtorp down to 20th then, so a sorry state of affairs for these guys, but it does happen, unfortunately. Meanwhile, our BSR TV driver, Rob Burton, is out there on the track in 16th place under threat from Dan Hunt.
Yeah, and stalking Steve Richardson. Steve will be... Nope, we've
just
lost it. You've given him the commentator's curse as well.
Dan Hunt has gone off as well, and that's McCurry. McCurry has had to take an extremely wide line to avoid that, and Hunt has collided with Burton, but it's big damage to the front of that car, and well, Burton's he's crabbing a little bit, but he's still keeping it on check, and Well, Hunt's lost his engine cover and his front spoiler, but not engine cover, the front cowling, but it seems to be going.
Yeah, that's going. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on at the front here. I've got Wodge in 4th.
And Grillo
No, it's okay.
Lost the lead to Mercer. So Mercer's decided to go for the lead, but we've lost Martin Peck. No, we haven't. He's there in 4th. Who have we lost? We've lost Swirydowicz.
Yeah, Swirydowicz has dropped back. I thought he was. We're still showing him in 4th, but he's not. He's dropped back behind the snot green machine of he who must not be named for reasons of not wanting to curse him.
We said he wouldn't say his name, but let's see if we can go back to find out what happened to Swirydowicz here. We're just going back to the start of the lap, and we're just coming down now into turn 2. Swirydowicz is on the outside, gets a bit sideways, the car snaps back on him. That's what it is. He controls it well, but by that time he's lost so much time. Now that's dropped him down to 8th place, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Martin Peck and Paul Grillo have just collided a little bit and given each other a bit of a kiss in the backside, so...
Well, let's go back and see if we can get it.
Tangled at each other in the first corner.
Well, let's go back a little bit further on the replay. That's Mercer and Townend in 2nd place, and then Grillo
Peck's making a move
back out.
Peck's making a move through the fast left-hander into the old hairpin. He's got him there.
A little bit of contact there. We'll go back and have a look at that one as well. Grillo on the outside. Wow, that's a risky move from Peck, you have to say, but he'll want to get, after being squeezed out on the grass, he'll want to get around, and it looks like he's done it. But a bit of a twisted front spoiler, front wing on that car, isn't it? Martin Peck.
But as we've said before, and we've seen in the couple of races prior to this, these cars, you know, they do have some aerodynamic parts on them, but they're not exactly it's not life-threatening if you pick up a little bit of damage, although he's got a little bit slippery there.
Grillo looking for the
Grillo
opportunity.
around the outside again.
And of course this means these two are, well, he's on the inside, he should be able to take it round here. Is he going to be late on the brakes? Grillo goes for it, down the inside. Peck just about gets some room, but Grillo having to back out at the end of it.
Good driving from those two guys there, that was real good. Giving each other a little bit of space, plenty of room to go, and still...
Very impressive indeed, but it does mean that these two have now dropped off the leaders, so
they have.
It is a race between Mark Mercer for Purple Helmet Racing and Blake Townend, who is in 2nd place, and the other two are now 1.7 behind, so they're not going to be able to catch up. But Rob Green's lurking, isn't he? Don't forget about Rob Green and some clear air at the moment.
His best drive we've seen from him in the series for a couple of weeks. Rob Green, he's doing really well there, back in 5th. So I don't see those two catching up to the two guys in front. I just don't, unless these two start tripping each other up. They're home free, and
right,
you would,
exactly,
yeah. And you would suspect that Blake, knowing it, has got enough experience that he'll know that he can just follow Mark around here until probably the last lap, and then he might make a move there.
As Rob doing his usual. Is a second faster on that last lap than Alan.
Grillo's lost it.
Grillo has lost it. Well, let's go straight to Paul Grillo and let's try and find out what happened, because he's dropping places. He is dropping a lot of places there. So coming down that straight there, he's chasing Martin Peck.
Yeah, he's tried to go around the outside of Rob Burton and just lost it.
Well, he would have been wiser to wait, would he not?
Rob wasn't going very fast, so I don't think he had much choice.
No, that's a difficult one, especially in that position. It was just the wrong position for Paul Grillo, who is now... Oh, what a disaster. 8th place for Paul Grillo, especially after he qualified so well as well. And we've just missed Wojtek Swirydowicz just going round in the draft. Alan Patterson, no real surprise there. Retakes 6th position.
Yeah, he's all over the back of Peter Cowan now as well. I think Peter's about to get the monster treatment.
So under the Carloom Bridge, that's Burton on the right, who just gets out of the way, and down the inside now, Swirydowicz, there's no real question, he's faster, and Cowan puts up no resistance. Quite a wise decision.
Smart move.
Who else have we lost though? Because
I think we've lost Rob Green.
What's happened to Rob Green?
Rob Green's lost it.
Let's go back to a quick replay of Rob Green.
He nearly collects Luke Ridgway coming back onto the track there. Luke will need a change of underwear after that one, I think.
Just loses it on the last corner, gets a little bit late on the brakes, and he's late turning in there, and the cars kind of stream round. He is waiting politely there. Tries to get the car, and that must be such a frustrating place to go off, because there's just nowhere to get on, and that was risky.
Change of underwear.
Ridgway, yeah, is going to be called Luke Skidway, I think, after that. But Mercer has the lead from Townend, and it's now 2 seconds back to Martin Peck, who's now driving on his own, of course, because we've lost all the other drivers behind him. What a shame for Paul Grillo, though, and Rob Green's down to 14th. Grillo's dropping more places as we say that.
And also, he who must not be named has just had an incident there as well. He's been collected by somebody, I think.
Well, let's see if we can go back to that. Oh, let's go back a little bit further. Dave Grunhill, now that he's crashed, we can talk about him. Yeah,
oh, that's our dearest commentator making slowing down there, and unfortunately Keith Sharp's had absolutely nowhere to go, and he's elbowed Dave Grunhill off.
Wow, was there contact between Sharp and Grunhill, or was it just a reaction from Grunhill there? Difficult to say, isn't it?
Yeah, that's... well, I mean, Dave Grunhill's had nowhere to go, as he's clearly a bystander. Keith Sharp really has had... I mean, I think he was expecting Rob to keep his foot in it. Rob has lifted, and then he's had nowhere to go as well. I think that
well,
people watching can make their own mind up on that one.
Yeah, Burton wouldn't have wanted to be in that position after the last lap, I don't feel. And Keith Sharp's doing very well, though, 7th place, and Patterson is now up to 6th, with Cowan in 5th. We're about halfway through this race here, and there's so many incidents out on track, there's so much to talk about, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. James Steele up to PA. He's having a good run as well, just keeping his nose clean, staying out of trouble.
And one of the bits of feedback we've got from previous races is that we don't quite cover enough of the field. We tend to stick with the leaders, so we'll just run down the field, tell you how everyone's getting on, because like you say, James Steele down there in 8th place. Just behind, there's a battle between Mark O'Connell and Luke Ridgway is just behind, but they're separated by the back marker Rob Burton at the moment. With Rob Green, a recovering Rob Green is in 11th place. He'll want to make up for that costly spin, and probably sort of a little bit of an apologetic word to Luke Ridgway. As he's down the inside, he's going to look to take Luke Ridgway, but he's not going to use the draft there. Meanwhile, Phil Jocelyn for Ball Tire Racing is down there in 12th place at the moment in the yellow number 44. Richardson up to 13th, just running kind of smoothly really, no incidents, nothing to report for Steve Richardson, which is always a good thing in that position. Clark Williams,
Steve having a good run,
down in 14th. That green car kind of reminds me of
Sam
Sam
we've got
Everest.
Townend's made a move on Mercer. He's taken the lead.
Mercer's got it back.
Mercer is going to try and get him back round the outside. Yeah.
So are you live? We've got a Mercer in the front at the moment, just joining just starting lap 9 here.
No, it was
right
Blake made a move on him into the fast right-hand kink before they come up the hill again, and he immediately lost it. Mercer just wisely backed off, let him have the line, and kept his momentum up.
So Townend will want to make a move, but you've got to feel it's a little bit early. I'm wondering why Townend decided to make a move at that stage. Surely he realised he couldn't pull away from Mercer.
He might have, yeah. I mean, he's sitting so close to the back of him, he may feel that he's got an advantage in speed, in which case he might want to try and make a move and go for it. He's clearly looking at it.
There's not a lot to choose between them, but I always feel in this situation it's better to be the guy behind, because you're constantly pressuring the guy in front of you. He's got a big Skip Barber nose in your mirror. You don't want to have to deal with that, the pressure of that, and you can overtake any time you like if you get the draft right. Oh, he's gone down the inside again. Here we go then, overtaking manoeuvre from Blake Townend, but he pulls back.
No, he's back. Yeah, he's decided better at that time. I think that's a difficult place to get that move right, because as you saw on the previous lap, if you make the inside move there, you lose momentum. And Mark was able to stay out wide, take his normal line, and then just repass him up over the top of the hill. Blake may be making a move, yeah.
See, and it seems a little bit rash from Townend, doesn't it? Can you think of any reason why he needs to get round Mercer now?
Nope. Maybe he's just a bit bored and wants some excitement.
Possibly, absolutely. Well,
giving us something to talk about, so thank you, Blake.
Indeed, and Jason McCurry is down in 15th place as we resume our little sort of position run, if you like. Kirchtor, unfortunately, after that incident in the early stages, is down to 16th. Stevens is in 17th place. These guys are pretty much running on their own now. Naris is dropping down after he's just stuck it in the wall. We'll have a little replay of that, because Naris was just in front of Stevens.
Yeah, I think Naris is about to take the Frenchman's option, and the white flag is on its way out. And there he goes.
Backwards into the barrier, unfortunately, for Naris. So that puts
maybe he picked up a little damage earlier on.
Yes, yeah, indeed. Oh, pulled down. We're just off track there after the hairpin, but he recovers well, but that's going to cost him down the straight. So he's in 18th place. Burton running a lap down at the moment. He is in 19th.
Marcus, I'll be honest, Mark Mercer after this race is going to need a chiropractor, because Blake Townend is all over the back of him, and he's going right, he's going left, and Mark will be never knowing which mirror to look in. He's making a move again yet down the inside.
Mercer's going to have to let him go, but Townend's going to compromise exit speed there, so Mercer might...
No, I think he's learned a lesson there. He's made that move cleverly enough that he's made sure he squeezed Mark to make sure he lost a bit of extra drive there, so it's managed to hold it. We'll find out if he's got the pace to pull away or not now.
Well, here's the thing, because Mercer didn't have the pace to pull away from Townend because of the draft. He's going down the inside, he wants that position back. Townend giving him the squeeze, but he's not going to be quick enough to do it, so this is going to go back to Mercer.
That's great racing, isn't it?
It really is. A lot of respect shown by these guys, and no contact whatsoever.
Martin Peck is, meanwhile, in P3, I've got to say, is doing his usual job of just sneaking up on everybody. And I think we've probably given Ellis the Teflon nickname a little bit too quick. Perhaps Mr. Peck should have picked that one up, because the last couple of races he's gone and picked up places from nowhere, hasn't he?
He has. Peck, surprisingly, seems to come out of nowhere. At the moment his lap times aren't good enough. He's only 0.2 quicker than the leaders at the moment, so he's gaining, but he's not going to get that 3-second deficit down to anything meaningful quickly enough. The other battle that's going on the track at the moment is Swirydowicz and Cowan. Cowan is right on the back of Swirydowicz, but these guys are setting blistering times, and the fastest times on the track, 1:42.4.
Yeah, and we have seen faster lap times than that, and these guys have got to be holding each other up, making all these moves with each other.
Although 143
Peck, I think maybe needs to. Yeah, I think Peck needs to maybe change the paint job on his car to like a matte black and re-nickname him Team Stealth Fighter Racing, because he really does sneak under the radar, doesn't he?
He does, although I don't know if he's going to be able to do it this time round, because he's quick, but he's just not quick enough. I'm willing to be proved wrong. So Swirydowicz...
Blake and Mark are side by side again for the 4th time this lap.
Well, Townend wants it back, doesn't he? Townend's using a slightly later place to overtake this time. These guys are just going to be careful.
They're just making it up as they go along, aren't they?
Well, Martin Peck's going to be joining the fight pretty soon if they carry on like that. And Townend down the inside this time. He will hold it from Mercer. Oh, Mercer's gone down the outside.
Oh, what a move
from Mercer. I didn't know it was possible to get so much grip on that line. And the
can't go side by side through turn 1, surely.
No, surely not. Well, Townend's got the inside, so anything can happen. Mercer sideways. Oof, that was close.
He can go side by side through turn 1.
Mercer just using that runoff area there to good effect, and he's got the inside line for turn 2.
Brilliant.
Absolutely fantastic driving from these guys. They've lost a full second to Martin Peck behind them, though. That's the problem. 3 laps to go. Can Peck do it?
Side again. Blake obviously likes the paint job on the side of that blue car. Wants to give it a cuddle at every possible opportunity.
And he's taken the lead, but he's not going to be able to hold the lead for long, judging by the antics that these guys are up to, providing great entertainment, but still, it's costing them dearly. They've lost another half a second now on the green and white.
Martin Peck will be sitting at the back here, giggling like a schoolchild, won't he?
He will.
He's going to be like a 6-year-old with a. He's going to be like a 6-year-old with a bag of wine gums at the minute. He will have a massive grin on his face and be jumping up and down hyper.
I fancy some wine gums now you mentioned that.
Oh, they're a quality choice.
No, thanks for the idea.
Not that we're sponsored by them or anything.
No, we have no Maynard sponsorship on this show. But if you work at Maynard's and you want to get in touch and provide us with free wine gums, we'll be more than happy to plug them for you.
Absolutely.
Martin Peck in 3rd place. Look at those two up in front, though, side by side. And they're costing themselves a huge amount of time here. And it's got 3 laps left, and Peck's made up a second and a half in the last lap alone. And he's only got 2 more to make up, so look how close he's getting now to these guys. Peck is going to be thinking, now is my chance. I'm just going to sneak up and take the win on the last lap.
Yeah, well, he's got form for it from the previous races, hasn't he? And I think if you're sat in his cockpit right now, you can almost feel the grin. I think he will be laughing his absolute socks off. And the 2 in front, to be fair, mind, they clearly look like they're enjoying themselves. And
somehow, I don't think socks was the first word that came into your head there. But
no.
3 laps to go. well, two and a bit laps to go.
Here they go again.
This is a dangerous place to go for an overtake, but Mercer's done it.
Well, I mean, the two of them so far have shown each other plenty of respect and have, been very clean. I can't see that staying the same until the end if Mr. Peck catches him up, because,
well,
as we've seen before, when you go from a two-way to a three-way, it all gets that extra bit messy.
And just behind these guys, we've got a battle between Patterson and Peter Cowan. What's happened to Cowan?
I think he's just, I
I
think he's seen the leaders come in and just decided to stay out of it there. Blake and Mark Mercer side by side again.
Townend's back through. It's just a joy to watch these guys when they're driving at this sort of level.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
But the gap now down to a second and a half. So a second and a half to that lurking white and green machine of Martin Peck just behind. Swirydowicz is gaining on these guys as well, but probably not enough to get anything done by the end of the race. Well, who knows? With 3 laps to go. Well, 2 laps to go once these guys cross the line. Mercer just needs to hold it tight and just go for the overtake on the last lap, doesn't he?
You could say the same for Martin Peck, I think. It's on to lap 14, 2 laps to go here. Mark Mercer's all over the back of him again and has gone for the inside. That's a late move.
Well controlled from both of those guys. Townend going for the cutback, but it's going to take him over to the outside line for the next corner. Wonder if we'll see any more overtaking in the very high-speed left-hander just before the hairpin. We shouldn't.
We will.
Oh, we probably will, yes, you're right.
We've seen already, Blake's not going to hang about. In fact, there he goes. Why not? Will, that's brilliant. Look at that. Mad as a box of frogs. Oh, we nearly lost it there.
Townend very, very sideways, but more than skilled enough to keep that one under control. Loses a bit of time in that hairpin though, and Mercer's right on the back of him once again.
Martin Peck is almost within draft range here. He's got to be picking up a toe as the two of them go side by side again.
Martin Peck is still a second and a half. So
whoa!
Oh, who's that? It's just gone off there. Just almost took out Martin Peck. Is that James Steele?
Ellis Stevens just
Oh, that was Ellis Stevens, was it?
Yeah, and Martin Peck will have just taken the Brown Trouser Award from Luke Ridgway, I think.
Well, what happened there? Because we just saw a car in the background and we were just trying to find out what happened there.
If you look from Martin Peck's onboard camera, I don't think that looked like the background.
No, it wouldn't have done, would it? And,
no.
Well, Stevens is all over the track at the moment, so it's difficult to see. And he's just lost. Well, he's completely lost control of the car. Wow! He's cut half the course and jumped over there. How has he managed to do that? That's
a talentectomy of epic proportions, isn't it?
Well, let's go back and watch that on board from Martin Peck's point of view.
Martin Peck is on the leaders now, by the way. He is right with them.
And what you're not expecting to see coming down this straight is a car catapulting itself over the barrier to the right-hand side, and that's something out of a disaster movie for Martin Peck there, and his mirrors are just... Well, that was close, wasn't it?
He'd have been laughing like a madman all the way up while he was catching these two up, which he's now on them, by the way, and the second he saw that, you'll have stopped. Pretty sharpish, I suspect. Ellis literally throwing himself into the scenery.
Well, I hope he's got a change of underwear in his changing room. A little nudge there from Townend. This is the last lap, by the way, so let's see. It's anyone's game now. Swirydowicz possibly a little bit far back, but Townend's down the inside, and Peck is in the draft of Townend, so Mercer could be the loser as we come down to this fast right-hander.
It's hard. You want to be out of these three, and Wodge sat back there in P4 could yet be the main victor out of all of this. Oh, yeah, Mark Mercer's had a little touch from Blake there. I think that's it. That's it for Blake. He's clear.
No one's going to catch Townend now, surely.
No.
Swirydowicz right on the back of these guys now. Maybe I was wrong about Swirydowicz. Peck looking to make the second place from Mercer. Oh, it's anyone's game as we come into one more corner to go. Can anyone dive down the inside into the final corner? Townend looks to take it. Swirydowicz is having a look. These guys are going to tuck in. Oh,
Mercer's gone sideways.
Mercer's lost it on the last corner. Mercer's out of the... Oh, It's lost it. It's down to 4th place.
Wow. Martin Peck picks up second again.
Oh, what a shame for Mark Mercer has lost it on the final corner of the race from 2nd place. Just coming into this now. Just watching this final corner, all he had to do was hold it through this corner, and he's done so well for the entire race.
Alan Patterson, P5. Alan,
Opposite
what a
lot
race
from
that
Mercer,
is.
and we're just watching Mercer turn around now, and the others do well to avoid him, really. But Swirydowicz takes third place, and that's a tragedy for Mark Mercer, it really is. And let's bring up those results now on your screen. And on the timing screen, we've got Townend in first, Martin Peck second, but the timing hasn't actually registered any difference between their times, so I wonder how close they did finish. Well, that was a shocking end to the race, wasn't it, for Mark Mercer? He's just binned it on the very last corner of the race.
Yeah, he got mugged and stitched up a little bit there, didn't he, with that little bit of contact from Blake. Martin Peck, meanwhile, fair play.
How about
that
Martin
guy?
Peck?
I'm gonna make the next race. I'm gonna follow him because I want to see how the heck he ends up with that kind of position every week. It's got to be depressing if you're one of the other guys, isn't it?
Okayama, we saw an amazing recovery from Martin Peck as well. Well, it wasn't even a recovery; it was just a kind of grab third place at all costs from nowhere. And he's done it again. He's got second place here. And that's going to shake up the championship a little bit because, like we said, Hulbert out, didn't get into this session. Mercer scoring in fourth place, Swirydowicz only managing third, and Townend taking what you'd have to say is a well-deserved victory. It could have gone either way between him and Mercer, couldn't it?
It's just a phenomenal race. I mean, there's not a you can say about that doesn't that the footage doesn't show for itself, is there?
Well, we saw it, and then we saw just towards the end there was so much going on, but we saw a bizarre incident from Ellis Stevens to pitch him over the barriers and off on the other side of the track, which is absolutely incredible to watch.
He's going to win the Acrobat of the Year award for that, isn't he? It's you've got to give him. I'm just trying to look at the replay here. I think you've got to give him about a 9.2 for that dive.
I'm wondering if we might be able to go back to that incident, and just see if we can get that up on the replays. It's not going to be the easiest to find, I don't think, but well, it's just about. Well, we'll see if we can get that. We'll just try and go back to that incident for Ellis Stevens. That was dramatic enough to warrant another look. Let's go on board with Ellis Stevens. He just kind of gets out of shape there, and well, it's bizarre. The car suddenly pitches itself to the right here, and then he's up and over. It's one of the strangest incidents I've ever seen, and that's, well, it's highly dangerous as well, you have to say. And I have another look from another angle. He's got his marzipan coloured gloves on there, and well, he's just guiding the car around the outside of the corner. Tries to get it back on the track, and then it spears off to the right. Up and over, and that is Martin Peck, who just narrowly avoids the impact.
I think he gets a 1 out of 10, a 1 out of 10 for talent, and a 9 out of 10 for the landing.
Well, beautiful landing.
He's going to lose points for not keeping his ankles together, isn't he?
I think he might. So another really exciting race in this series, and we'll just go down and have a look at the second page of results there as well, because James Steele falling down to 11th place, unfortunately. Clark Williams takes 12th, McCurry takes 13th, Richardson up to 14th, so he'll be pleased with that one. And
yeah, good result for Steve.
15th there as well. So some high profile casualties there.
Casualties, yeah. Mr. Paul Grillo. Andy Kay, actually, probably, I think it's fair to say, he's a little bit upset with earlier on, I know, but I think to get back and manage to get a 16th place after all of that, probably not a total loss, to be honest.
Still scoring points, of course.
Absolutely. Points wins prizes, don't they?
And just keep it steady, score as many points as you can each week, and that's exactly what he's doing. So it has been an incident-filled season for Kirchtorp, hasn't it? It's been rather unfortunate. Not all of them have been his fault, but it's just something you've got to deal with in this type of racing.
Yeah, I mean we've seen there, one small incident and these things can get out of shape pretty quickly, and then it could affect everybody around you.
Well, another fascinating race, and it seems to all be over too quickly because there's so much going on. But those drivers, some of those will be wiping their brow and saying, well, that couldn't have come soon enough, the end of that race, because Blake Townend takes the victory from Martin Peck from Oulton Park, and it just sets up the season, doesn't it? For that's the first half of the season done, and we've got another 6 rounds to come here on BSR TV.
Thank God. The way these guys are racing, you'd want to do this. You wouldn't want this season to end, would you? Sebastian Vettel he's not welcome.
Well, it has to end at some point, but not before some more highly entertaining racing to come. So we'll be back next Monday. That's the 16th of December for more from the iRacing Skip Barber series. But thanks for watching, and I hope you can tune in next week.